Hey guys, welcome to the Sim Racing Paddock. I'm William Marsh, and it's time for another Project Cars 2 test drive. Now I know that in my first preview video I was a little bit meh on the upgrades to the physics, but in the second video I found out that it was more down to car setup rather than physics, so if you have a car with a good setup, then it really does bring the physics to life. Since then, I got a message from Austin Oganowski, yep, that guy, and he recommended that I take the new Ford GT road car and race car for a spin. He told me that despite the build that I am testing being over a month out of date compared to the WMD team, that this car should feel pretty darn good and representative of what Project Cars 2 will be once it releases next month. So I took the Ford GT road car to the Nordschleife first, and wow, this is a major improvement, guys. I've tested other road cars in Project Cars 2 so far, and this is by far the most lively car. This is definitely the most fun I've had so far testing Project Cars 2. It really does feel like a believable road car. It does have the lighter steering, which is associated with power steering, but under load at turns like the carousel, it really does feel good. The car also doesn't sound bad either, considering that it's a twin-turbo V6 compared to the old car's V8, but I digress. Driving this car around the Nordschleife with all the different elevation changes, all of the bumps, all of the turns, all of these things that are getting the car unsettled in a way that wasn't really represented in the first Project Cars, really speaks volumes about how the physics have been improved in Project Cars 2. And the great thing is this is in the car setup out of the box. I didn't have to spend around a half hour tweaking the car, getting it to feel like it was actually lively. I could just load it up, drive it, and have a lot of fun with it. So for the second test drive, I decided to take the Ford GT GTE race car around Fuji Speedway. Fuji is one of the new additions in Project Cars 2 and is actually one of the first tracks I got to test out in January. One difference between my testing in January and my testing now though is I decided to run Fuji at night to see how it looked. And I gotta say, Slightly Mad Studios did a great job recreating how it feels to drive at night. Driving under lights makes the light bleed into the cockpit and reflect off the dashboard and other parts in the interior of the car. You definitely have the limited viewing distance, which you have to take into consideration. And also, one thing that is very notable is it drops the track temperatures and gives you more grip. As mentioned before, I was also told that this car was set up properly for my build, so I decided to really push it. And yeah, you can definitely tell a difference between this car and the Ferrari 488 GTE race car that I drove before. This car definitely felt more lively, and you could definitely tell there was a steep cliff on the tires. You can push hard on these slick tires, but once you cross that threshold of grip, it'll snap around and you have to fight to get it out of the corner. Like the road car, this was incredibly fun to drive. I really enjoyed it, and I applaud Slightly Mad Studios for making these work. Now, as a disclaimer, this build is about 2.5 to 3 months behind what you are going to be seeing in late September. There are still things that are being worked on, and one of the last things to be dialed in are car setups. If all of the cars are set up the way that this Ford GT feels like, I'm going to be extremely pleased with Project Cars 2. These cars felt great, they felt lively, you really got an idea on what they were doing, and they really did feel like what a high-performance road car and a GTE race car would feel like. So hopefully the rest of the cars are going to feel like this when Project Cars 2 releases in September, and if they do, oh man, we're going to have a lot of fun.